Hi and welcome back. My name's Faye and I'm a UK-based wedding photographer shooting weddings all over the world, and today I'm talking about a topic inspired by the wedding that I've just done in Mallorca. So this weekend, my amazing couple, Garima and Tom, got married in Mallorca. It was supposed to be like the end of the sunny season. Mallorca is well known for being quite dry. It doesn't experience loads of rain in comparison to other places like Lake Como. So quite often it feels like a safer bet for a lot of couples, especially when they've got family traveling from near and far. In this case, Saudi, India, like all over the world basically. There were people coming on quiet track, loads of flights to get there. And the couple wanted to make sure that they had a cute outside vibe the whole way through the celebrations. I don't know if you've been on TikTok, but that did not happen. Mallorca, Ibiza and the Balearics have been experiencing an unprecedented amount of rain. A lot of them are underwater right now. There's been extreme flooding. I laugh not because it's funny, but just because nobody could have expected the amount of rain that we've had. It's just been insane. And it took a lot of prep to get ready for this wedding, a lot more than I would usually do for destination weddings. And I just wanted to talk you through some of the considerations that were made before the day itself and then on the day to help things move as quickly as possible, as smoothly as possible, and keep the couple calm and happy. Now, despite the weather being absolutely insane, the couple have been very, very complimentary. They are over the moon with how the days went, really happy with how the team handled everything. So I just wanted to talk you through some things that I did to prepare for this wedding, as well as things that happened organically on the weekend to make sure that they had the best time despite the weather. Because I know that when the forecast is bad, people get worried. So I thought that this might be quite helpful. So the first thing is all about mindset. You have to shift your mindset. Yes, it's a shame. The couple are going to be unhappy because they wanted X, Y, Z, and that's not going to happen. That being said, bad weather doesn't mean that the wedding's going to be rubbish. If anything, I actually find that usually the vibes are better when the weather is bad because guests are less selfish. Like if it's sunny, people just sit around chatting outside, they get drunk really quickly, they're silly on the dance floor. On the flip side, when the weather's really bad, I feel like everybody's so sympathetic and so much more in tune with how the couple are feeling about their day. I feel like the vibes are a lot better, the energy that people bring is more positive, and generally people are just a bit more considerate for the couple and their needs, meaning that overall the energy is so much better despite the rubbish weather. Also, some of the best weddings that I've ever done have been because of the weather. Like when you've got couples that just embrace it, just crack on, and they decide to have a good time, no matter what life throws at them, even when other stuff inevitably goes wrong on the day, because they've decided to have a good time in spite of the weather, they take that approach to other decisions as well. It doesn't mean that they're not going to have a little sob, but yeah, it's really important that you have got that positive mindset because that will inspire it in your couples. If you are obviously stressed, phased, worried about the impact that it's going to have on your workload, your workflow, that is inevitably going to pass on to your couples. So it starts with you and your positive headspace. Now, the next thing that I'm going to talk about is prepping your gear. Obviously, you're not going to be able to shoot on two bodies and have two bodies side by side just getting absolutely soaking wet all day. It's too dangerous. You're probably going to want to go down onto a one body option. Now, if you are in the 2870 club, the F2 Zoom, you're probably going to be happy with that all day. Still worth having another one set up in a dry space just in case anything goes wrong. You can run and get it if you've not got a second shooter. So definitely have a backup nearby, ready to go, synced up, cards in, boom. But if you haven't got the F2 2870, you're going to want something more versatile, maybe a 50. 35 is going to be way too wide, especially in the ceremony if you're restricted and you can't be moving inside and outside, going around, you get stuck in a corner. 35 is going to be too wide, you're going to miss out on a lot of those like gorgeous moments happening. Similarly, an 85, it's going to be quite jarring if you go from photographing what's right in front of you to what's going on at the back of the room. It's going to be quite a massive shift. So something like 50 is going to give you more versatility throughout the day, but definitely consider going onto one body. There's loads of other stuff that you can get for your camera. I've got a wet bag to put mine inside. I avoid using this as much as I can because it's actually quite noisy. Every time you move it, you're changing your settings. It just makes loads of noise and I feel like it's quite disruptive, so I avoid it. But you can get loads of rain protection for your gear, which would be more suitable if there was no cover whatsoever. For example, if you were doing an elopement out in Scotland or wherever where you were outside the whole time, This weekend, I knew that there was going to be some shelter because the guests were going to have some shelter. So I decided to shoot with an umbrella that I kept leaving down. Now, if you are taking an umbrella, it's really important to get a clear one, because if you get one with colour, that's going to put a tint on all of your images. In terms of your dress, you still need to look really smart. So if it was really bad weather in the UK where things are a bit chillier, maybe consider investing in a waterproof shell that you can put on top of your normal outfits. And things shoes wise, trainers I would avoid because they're going to get wet anyway. Not that I would ever wear trainers to a wedding, but I've got some Doc Marten loafers that I've got a really thick heel. They're quite good in all weather, and I've also got some Doc Marten boots that are smart enough to wear to weddings, but they still give me a lot of protection in all weathers as well. In terms of spare gear, I already mentioned the importance of having your second body there ready to go just in case anything goes wrong, but also consider having a day bag with other things like batteries, memory cards also ready to go. You would normally have this, but when it's wet weather, you might not want to have it over your person at all times unless you've got a waterproof bag. I've got a waterproof bag, so this weekend it was quite good because I could keep everything on me at all times, not worrying if I was not covering it with my umbrella, because I knew that everything inside was going to be just fine. Now, the next thing I'm going to talk about is light. Now, if you are not in the F2 club and you're going on to a prime, that's good because it's going to be really low. That being said, that's good because you're going to have a really low f-stop. You can shoot wide open, and naturally that lens is going to let loads of light in. That being said, if you're cold and shivering, shooting on 1.4 might not be the best idea because you're going to get loads of blur, you're going to miss moments, and you're going to lose focus. Shooting on something like the F2, it is a good all-rounder. It's very rare that I miss focus. If you are shooting on a prime, you might still want to go up to F2 and above just to make sure that you're covering yourself and you're getting everything in focus despite having more glass and your images being better quality. Other things to consider. You may need to use flash more than you normally would at different points throughout the day, but you still need to be balancing. Am I going to be able to get a salvageable shot without flash using things like denoise? So for example, in the speeches, because there was a lot of string lights, I still did ambient, which is what I try to do as much as possible, knowing that when I get to post, the quality is not going to be there, but that moment is more important for people to not be disturbed by the flashes whilst they're giving speeches. And it's the same for other bits in the day. You might need to use flash for the ceremony, for example, but usually I would avoid shooting flash in the ceremony at all costs, unless I thought there was no way that using things like AI denoise, I can salvage these photos and make them look good. An alternative could be a video light or a continuous light that you keep on your camera to give you a bit of extra light and quality. That being said, I don't love the colours of using a continuous light. I don't mind it when I'm shooting content, have the continuous light up and shoot video. I think it's fine, but I think there's something a little bit jarring about it when you try and take photos using the continuous light. I don't love it. But for some venues that I've worked at where it's like crypts, it might not even be bad weather that you need a continuous light. It might be that you're underground, you're in a crypt, you're in a cave, and it won't be appropriate to keep flashing because even in those really dark spaces, it's even more obvious when you're using flash. Something like a continuous video light is going to help you with the quality. Now, in terms of harnessing natural light, when you've got low light, it's really important that you are stood with the sun behind you so that your clients have got as much light on them as possible. An easy trick to do is the hand trick. So right now you can see that there it's in good light, but even there you can see like the difference. So see where it's even, that's what your subject wants to be. So when you've got the best light in front of you, you stand completely behind that with your subject in front of your hand, and you know that you're in the best possible position to get them in the most flattering light, even when the light is limited. Don't make the mistake of thinking it's low light, there's no harsh shadows, because what you'll find is that the quality of your images is really poor. They're very noisy, and when you go to apply things like your presets, they won't be sitting on the images right because you've not got enough light. It is imperative to stand and get as much light on your subject in low light. Don't just think because there's no harsh shadows, the light's perfect no matter where you stand. All light is not created equal, and it can be the most gorgeous dreamy light ever. if you're stood in the right place. Of course, like with this weekend, the best light was not where the ceremony was, and we had this incredible backdrop. So sometimes there's a trade-off between the best light and the best backdrop. I think as long as you've not got people's full faces, it's fine. It can still be quite flattering. But if you've got somebody's full face in bad light, it's going to be so harsh. Their skin's going to look really bad. Their pores going to look bad. You're going to get all sorts of shadows. It's not going to be flattering. So I would maybe do detailed body shots with that backdrop, or really, really wide shots. I would not be doing super close-ups of the face if I knew that there was uneven light across all of those wrinkles, like dark circles, etc., etc. Now, the next one is about logistics and scouting and planning ahead. For every element of the day, this is imperative, because if it is chucking it down, you need to minimise how much time you are taking up for things like group portraits, family formals, other shots. You need to be so organised, because the likelihood is that the decoration's not going to be ready until right at the last minute, and things are going to need to be quite quick. So you almost need to have in your head plan A, plan B, plan C, plan D, and you need to have scouted out the routes so that you can get so many of your images, or the bulk of your images, on the way to wherever you're going. That's really, really important, because if you are too slow on the day, your couples are going to getting drenched, and they won't be upset that it's raining, they'll be upset that you're getting them wet, if that makes sense. So a few examples of how I did this. We weren't sure what the weather was going to be like for their sunrise session. I was also worried about what the traffic would be like. So a couple of examples of how I did this. So in the morning, the first thing that I did was I went to go and speak to the planner. The planner was Sarah from Mosand, absolute legend, like led us all through this storm with so much grace. I'm just in awe of her at all times. But went to see what the running order was. She told us what the options were for various bits of the day. And the plan was very much, we've got several options for like every single section of the day, but it's very much going to be, we just take the day as it comes, and then make those decisions as last minute as possible, depending on what weather we've got at the time, because the forecasts just kept changing. And knowing how much the couple wanted everything to be outside, that was obviously at the forefront of the planner's mind, balancing the reality of what we had and what the couple wanted. So there was a lot of having to go with the flow, and that importance of scouting was so much more important, because any pockets of group photos that I did were so quick and so shoehorned in. But of course, because I'd scouted them, it didn't feel like I was rushing the couple through their day. So we got there in the morning, and we knew that it was probably going to start at least an hour and a half delayed, because the weather was supposed to get better at that point. And as I said, we wanted to make sure that everybody was outside as much as possible. So that involved delaying things in the morning, keeping everybody nice and calm. In the end, I think it was only delayed by 30 to 40 minutes, which is nothing in the grand scheme of things. But it just involved having lots of conversations. When the couple were saying things like, do we need to go? What time is it? I would say things like, no, Sarah's got everything under control. We're just going to go whenever she comes to get us. And the couple trusted us implicitly. And during that time, we were doing things like the detail shots, so doing all of the shoes, all of the outfits, etc., etc. And now it's worth saying that another way that I prepared for this was I did a lot of their detail shots the day before, because the day before it was windy, but it wasn't raining. So the night before, when we went for their rehearsal dinner, we actually got them to show us where everything was in the safe, show us all the outfits, everything like that. And we actually took a few detail shots the day before. And I also got the drone up and did all the establishing shots of the venue the night before, not the day of, because it was chucking it down for most of the day. In fact, I'd say that we probably only had 2 hours of no heavy rain. It was spitting pretty much all day. There was very little where it wasn't raining at all. But because I knew that was coming, I could get a lot of those detail shots, giving me more fluidity the following day and more free time to step in and out whenever I needed it. This wasn't quite the same, because I wasn't expecting it to be bad weather. But when we did the sunrise shoot, they wanted to do it at Cap de Formentor, which is one of the most famous places on the island. It's very famous for sunrise. It's very famous for sunset. It's very hard to access, and online there was a lot of conflicting information about what time you could access it, depending on what time of the year it was, how good the parking was. Top tip, if you are looking for locations for shoots, always look on Reddit and find out what the parking situation is like. And if you can't do a recce, try and avoid like those really high hitting spots, because it's just so likely that you won't be able to park. It's not worth showing up with your couple, because that's 2 cars and looking like a lemon. If you've got time for a recce, great, go for it. Now, what I didn't realise was, so I'd planned to do this recce because it's such a famous monument. It had been coming up on my TikTok, so I knew that there was going to be a lot, but it's where the bride wanted to go. So I said I would recce and see if it was doable. I got there, the place was only accessible before 10 a.m. and after 10 p.m. So during the day, only accessible via permits. That was what the bulk of things said online, so I prepped to go. When I got there, it was a blood moon, and I didn't realise it was going to be a blood moon. It was so busy, like the whole place was rammed. I got there an hour before sunrise and the car park was already full, which is insane. So I had been messaging the couple saying, here's some alternative parking spots if we can't get parking. Had stopped on the way up to the top, was sending location pins for this is our number one choice. If we can't go here, we can go there, because they were also hiring a car. Now, because I was so prepared and they had these location pins, they knew that they were in good hands. I didn't need to do that, but because I did that, they felt in such good hands that when it came to the next day and the weather was horrific, and then the day after that for the wedding, when it came to the next day, so we did sunrise shoot in the morning, and then in the evening it was the rehearsal dinner, and then the day after it was the day with the awful weather. Because I'd gone above and beyond throughout the process, so not just with the rec, but also every time they've messaged me in the last 6 months, I've replied really quickly. I've never given them any reason to doubt that I will be there for them. So come the day when I'm reassuring them and I'm telling them that everything's fine and everything's under control, they're going to believe me. So another way that you can prepare for awful weather is just give consistently incredible customer service all the way through. Because if you do that, and by the time you get to that, anything that you say, they're just going to lap it up because they trust you, and that's so important. Now, in terms of things like group photos, in my head, I knew that the weather was going to be awful and we might not have time to do all of the guests, because typically at Asian weddings, they want a photo with every guest. And I'd spoken to them about this in advance. Even before we knew that the weather was going to be tricky, I'd said, what if you're in the moment, you don't want to have these photos, like let's come up with a backup plan. Now, I knew as we got closer to the wedding that the weather was looking worse and worse, and did a lot of the group photos the day before, learning all of the immediate family's names, the best friends' names, all of that stuff. Because then I could see how people moved, I could see how comfy people felt, and I was also establishing that relationship with the close friends and family, so that on the day when I was rallying everybody up, I could call them by name. They were getting in, they knew how quick they had to be because we'd done it the day before, and they were all praising me on how quick and efficient I was, which was fantastic. We had a break after the ceremony of about 20 minutes where it didn't rain, and I managed to get all of the photos done in that 20-minute period, and there were a lot of combinations. And then I asked the couple, do you want any group photos, just you, like with each other, or do you want any photos just you guys together? And they said that they were ready for a break, and they split up at that point. She went back to the room and he went to go get some food. When she went off, I said to the groom, can you go and pick her up in 5 minutes to bring her back to the party, just in case she needs anything? He said yes, obviously. I knew in my head, I was like, I don't want to take them off for portraits, but I need them to be together or I can't get any natural portraits, and it's probably going to start raining in the next 10 minutes again. So that's why I said 5 minutes, knowing that he'd probably be a bit longer, but hopefully not. So I went to the room, was not taking photos, was just there helping tidy up, because everything had been so busy in the morning, things had been put like here and there. So it was just tidying up, being helpful. By the time the groom came to pick up the bride, she was in such good spirits, she was refreshed, he was refreshed because he'd eaten some food. And then I literally just said, please, can you just stand there for 2 seconds before we go back to the party? I know you don't want to go off for photos, but let's just document this outfit while we've got the weather. And then we literally did like 2 minutes of portraits. And then we went up. I was gassing them up, telling them how gorgeous they looked, and like it was unreal. And then I just ran ahead of them and got candids as they went back to the party. That was literally all I had. But I've probably got 15 images from that section of the day, as well as clips, as well as film. And that's probably going to be their portrait session. And sometimes at weddings, that's all you have. You literally have 2 minutes. But it's the preempting when those pockets of time might happen, and when there are going to be the couple together, you need to be stood in the right place because you've already been to the venue, you've already scouted the locations, you've already planned potential routes If they go that way, where can I stand? If they go that way, where can I stand? And you do this anyway on a wedding day to save time and be helpful so that you can avoid that perception that you've taken the couple off for hours and hours on end. But when it's bad weather, it's even more important to be prepared and to do those things and to take the effort to go out and if you can't be there the day before because it's only a single wedding, arrive an hour early and scout out those locations then. If it's not a venue that you know well, then even earlier if that's what it takes, but just so that you can keep things going as quickly as possible. Now, I've just spoken a little bit about communication and how important it is to communicate all the way through, but something that I really want to stress is how important your energy and how you communicate things to the couple on the day are. So something that I say consistently to couples is like, here's what I'll suggest, and if something goes wrong, I'll just suggest options and we'll go with whatever you say, but you're always in charge. Another thing that I say to every single couple is I'll do my best to get these. In the questionnaire, it'll say things like, list your must-have shots in priority order. I will do my best to get these. So I'm protected a little bit with the language there so that if it isn't possible to get everything, at least I've alluded in the questionnaire that it might not be. I mean, it's very rare that I miss photos on that list, but it just gives you a little bit of protection. But as you go through the day, just be around, but afar. Like, be in their light so that they know you're there, but never like in their space. You're always just like dipping in. It's like an invisible rule or like a secret rule that I have with myself where I'm not inconveniencing the couple for more than 30 seconds at a time. And if they are talking to me, of course I won't be rude and disappear, but I'm just their photographer. I'm not there to like take them away from their family, take them away from their best friends. So if I am chatting in a room, say for morning prep, yes, I will talk to people and yes, I will be polite, but only for 30 seconds. And then I'll take myself out of the room. I'll go take the bouquet somewhere to take a photo. I'll go get candids from like hidden behind a bush. Like, I'm so intentional to not take up that space, because it's not my wedding and they're not my friends and they're not my family. Like, I want my couples to have those memories with their close friends and family. And when it comes to things like communicating that to them, I will always say a lot in the build up, I will be around. If you shout my name at any point, I'll hear you and I'll be there, but I will try my best to not be in your way. So if you don't see me, know that I'm there, but like not in your space. All you need to do if you need me is just say, Faye, and I'll be there right away. But otherwise, I try to keep away, because as soon as you are next to the couple, all the family and friends just want loads of posed photos. And that's A, not my style, but B, not what I want not what I want my couples to be doing on their wedding day. I don't want them to be posing. But this is all stuff that's communicated in my welcome brochure. If you don't have a welcome brochure, by the way, I'll link my template below. The templates are really good because it gives you examples of exactly what I say to my couples to communicate all these things to them, but also it gives you prompts so that you can change them into your personal business branding style. In the final call, I'll reaffirm that. And then if there's multiple days, I'll say goodbye sometimes after the first night. And when we finish portraits in the afternoon, I'll say, just so you know, later, as soon as I feel like I've got what I need, I will just do an Irish goodbye. So if there's any other must-have shots, let me know now so I can make sure I get them done over the next few hours, because I don't want to take you off the dance floor when I disappear later. And sometimes I'll say bye if it feels appropriate, but most of the time I'll just slip out and then send them a text the next day. But because I've communicated that to them, it's fine. Any way that you want to approach a wedding is fine. You just need to communicate that to your couple throughout the touch points in your client journey so that they know what they've got, basically. Okay, the next thing that I'm going to talk about is to get creative. Now, rain is not ideal, wind is not ideal. It makes things harder, but it also makes things really fucking cool. Wind is such a good tool with the veil, with the hair, it's such a vibe. Really lean into that dramatic Heathcliff vibe. Just go for it. With puddles, I took a photo of the perfume in a puddle on a rock, loads of stuff of reflections all throughout the day. Let water become an integral theme of the day, but in a really cute, creative way that people won't be expecting. Embrace it, basically. Don't shy away from it. And just lean into those elements. Just lean into the elements. Nature is such a powerful force. So maybe embed more like intimacy into your images, more hand holding, more touching, more snuggling, like whatever it inspires within your work, just let it go out at the forefront. Don't be trying to do like cute alfresco picnic vibes when it's a storm. Like it's gonna be so jarring. Lean into the drama is what I would say. Okay, the last thing that I'm going to talk about is backing up your kit and how important that is when it is wet weather, because the chances of something breaking are so much higher when it is wet. Now I would recommend that you shoot on 2 512s or 2 256s. However much you shoot, make sure that you've got enough so that you're not changing cards and swapping it out and opening up your camera when there's so many additional elements in the atmosphere. And also with your second shooter, try and get them to be doing the same. I would take 2 SSDs and back up to at least 1 as you are on site for your break. And then maybe split the party coverage so that you go and back up whilst your second shooter finishes off the last like half an hour or whatever you need to do to make sure that those images are backed up in more than one place before you leave. I always do this for destination anyway, but extra important when the weather's been bad, just because it is so much more likely that something is going to get broken. So you need to make sure that those files are backed up and safe, and do not format those cards. I am currently editing a wedding at the moment. It's a France wedding. I actually shared a vlog about this, a 3-day France wedding, and it's absolutely fine because I kept both cards, but one of my cards corrupted. And what I realised was it had corrupted before I'd backed it up. So the files also on my hard drive were also corrupted. And thank God I had the second card, so I was able to retrieve those images. I've edited the gallery now, everything's fine. But unless you need to get rid of that card, do not format it. Keep it until the gallery is delivered and you've had feedback. So in a nutshell, that's it. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope that these tips have been helpful. If you've got any wet weather related questions, please pop them down below and I'll try and get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you so much.